Hello Reddit, this is my first time posting here, but I have something that I need to share. It's about my nightmare of a stepsister who moved into our house a few months ago and has made my life absolutely, utterly miserable. She thought she could get away with anything, but she soon learned that karma doesn't forget. Some background. I, 15, female, am my dad's only child. My parents separated when I was a kid, and my dad has raised me by himself since then. My dad runs his own business and owns commercial properties in a few states. He is a very good dad and has always been wonderful to me, but he stays busy with work and travels a lot, so we don't see each other as much. I was around 5 at the time of the divorce, and my dad got custody of me. My bio mom passed away when I was 10, so for the last few years my dad has been raising me by himself, and although it has not been easy, we try to be the best we can for each other. Before my mom passed away, I used to spend 1 week every month with her. And since my mom passed away, my dad has taken at least 1 week of working from home every month to spend time with me. And honestly, that has been the best part of my months ever since. I used to look forward to this week all month, and we used to have the best time together. I thought our life was perfect and never felt like I was missing out on having a mom, but things changed when my dad remarried last year to a woman named Karen. I'm using a fake name here. She is quite a bit younger than my dad. For context, my dad is 52 and Karen is 35, and they dated for around a year before getting married. I met Karen before the wedding as well, but I never really liked her. If you ask me, she is a gold digger who only married my dad for his money. She was hardly out of her divorce when she met my dad, and honestly, I don't see what my dad thinks is so great about that woman. They met on a dating app around a year ago, and I disliked her from the very first day I met her. But I didn't tell my dad because I didn't want to hurt him. I know that it must have been difficult for him to stay without my mom, and although it's beyond my understanding, Karen actually seems to make him quite happy. Also, it's not like I expected my dad to stay single forever. In fact, I really wanted him to get out there and meet someone. I just wish that it was not Karen. Anyone but Karen, really. Anyway, Karen has a daughter from her previous marriage, and her name is Ashley, and she is 16. And after our parents got married, she started going to the same school as me. I don't know much about Ashley's bio dad, but I know that Karen absolutely hates that guy and doesn't like Ashley seeing him. She does go over to his house on some weekends, but I have heard Karen trying to convince Ashley not to meet him several times. And she actually doesn't meet her dad much. Anyway, my stepsister is the whole reason why I'm writing this post in the first place. Ashley is spoiled, rude, selfish, and arrogant. She thinks she is better than everyone else, and she looks down on me and my dad. She always complains about everything, and she never does any chores or homework. She spends all her time on her phone, shopping online, or watching Netflix. Karen never says no to her for anything. And ever since she started living at our house, it's like she expects me and my dad to act the same way as her mom. She also has a habit of stealing my clothes and hiding and using my makeup and jewelry and then lying about it. She also sneaks in with her boyfriend often when no one's home and has warned me against saying anything to my dad or her mom. I honestly don't mind that. I mean, it is none of my business, but that's not all she does. Actually, I wish that being bratty and sneaking in boys was the only thing she did. But she is worse, so much worse than that. Karen never tells her off for messing with my stuff, and instead is obsessed with getting her everything she wants. It's almost like she is trying to please her for some reason. Anyway, when Karen and Ashley moved in, they brought a lot of stuff with them, and Karen obviously took over the master bedroom, which used to be my dad's, and filled it with her tacky furniture, clothes and accessories. She also convinced my dad to give my room to Ashley since she would be moving out for college soon anyway, and I would only have to adjust for a few years, and after that, I could have my room back. I hated this and tried to convince my dad to keep my room, but he said that Karen had a point and that I should do my part in making my big sister feel welcome. They also took over the guest room, which was the only other nice room. It is filled with Karen's Pilates stuff, and I'm not allowed to even enter it. Forget about touching any of that stuff. But not that I care about that. But the guest room being occupied left me with the smallest room in the house, which barely had enough space for a bed and a desk. I had to move a lot of my stuff into the attic because there was simply no space for it in my new room. My dad apologized to me, but since Ashley was older and all of this was new to her, she needed her space. To be fair, he did say that if I really had a problem with this, I could have the guest room and they would rearrange all the stuff in there, but I could tell that he was just trying to be nice. There was no way all that exercise stuff would fit into this tiny room anyway, so I didn't even bother. I did think of suggesting that we should put Ashley in the tiny room and let me keep my room since she would only have to struggle for a few years, but decided against it. I just wanted to make things easier for my dad. Despite all of it, I didn't mind the living situation that much. I'm used to spending a lot of time at school because of my extracurriculars. I didn't need a huge room to be happy. I had my books, my laptop, and my guitar. I also have a few amazing friends at school who were supportive and understanding. I started hanging out at their house a lot after school, trying to avoid Ashley as much as I possibly could, and I focused more on my studies and hobbies. I wanted to get good grades so I could go to a good college and move out of this place as soon as possible. But Ashley was not okay with leaving me alone. Once she transferred to my school, she started to terrorize me at both school and at home. She would spread rumors about me, call me names, mock me, and embarrass me in front of everyone. She would also sabotage my work and even steal from my school locker once. Of course, when I told my dad about it, he said that I must be mistaken and someone else must have taken my stuff. She did everything she could to make me miserable. Since she was a junior and I was only in middle school, it was kind of impossible for me to do anything against her at school. I just tried to avoid her at home, but even that wasn't easy because of how intrusive and annoying she is. She also tried to turn my dad against me. She would always be manipulative around him. She didn't outright lie to him, but she used to subtly try to make it seem like I wasn't kind to her and tell him stuff like how she has always wanted a little sister and hoped that I would warm up to her. I tried to talk to my dad about all of this, but he didn't believe me and said the same thing that he always says, that Ashley is still adjusting and has had a rough life, and that I should be patient with her. She would act sweet and innocent and pretend to be the perfect daughter. She would also butter him up and ask him for gifts and money all the time. She turned 16 just a few months after her mom married my dad, and Dad even bought her a really expensive car as a birthday gift. I didn't care about all that stuff. But when my dad started most of his week at home with Ashley and Karen instead of me, it started to really bother me. Ashley would be really mean to me, saying my dad would forget me once I moved out to college and she would be his only daughter and that I would be forgotten. I honestly did not pay much attention to these things and told myself that she was just immature and stupid. I know, of course, that my dad will never forget me, no matter how close he gets to Ashley. Last week, it was Karen and my dad's anniversary. They decided to take a weekend trip to my uncle's beach house. My dad wanted to come back the same day and not stay the night, but Karen wanted to stay, and Ashley convinced him that she would take care of the house and watch over me and promised him that nothing bad would happen. My dad had literally never left me alone overnight before, and I did not want Ashley, of all people, to be there when he did. I didn't even like the sound of that. I know that if none of the adults were home, she would do something crazy and make me a part of it too. But I did not want to ruin my dad's day and told him that he should go and that I was old enough to take care of myself. I promised him that if anything went wrong, I could call him immediately. And turns out I would need to keep that promise earlier than I expected. But that's for later. Anyway, the moment that they left, Ashley turned to me and handed me some sheets of paper. I was really confused and asked her what this was, and she told me that she was throwing a party that night and this was her rule book. And I had to follow everything written on it for the next 2 days, or she would make sure that I was even more miserable in school than I already was. I was kind of scared. I looked at the paper and it was like the world's stupidest rule book. She had written stuff like I had to lie to my dad when he calls to check up. I had to be the one who cleans up after the party. I had to make sure no one goes into her room. I would have to let her friends use my room if they needed to. She even said that I would have to give her a part of my pocket money so she could buy stuff for the party. I was speechless. This was even crazier than usual. Who did she think she was to create a rule book? I mean, it was ridiculous. This was the first time I actually snapped at her and I told her that I couldn't care less about her stupid rules and that I would tell Dad immediately if she threw a party. I told her that Dad hates these kinds of things and would never allow it. That was a mistake. Her whole tone changed and she told me to watch my words before I forced her to do something that would make me regret it very much. I knew she was capable of making me that miserable, so I agreed to follow her rule book. At least that's what I pretended to do. I had been waiting for the perfect time to expose her, and now I literally had the chance to get proof against her. I could just keep the rule book and show Dad when he comes back. I already started imagining how he would react if he found out the truth. I also thought that if she did throw a party, I would just take pictures and videos of it as proof. I know that even though my dad is pretty cool, a party was too much for him, and he would definitely be mad at Ashley. I decided to play it cool with her and put up a whole act about how scared I was of her and told her that I would do anything she wanted me to do. She looked so smug at that, I couldn't wait for the party to begin. As I mentioned before, I played along with Ashley's ridiculous rule book, all the while secretly planning to expose her to my dad. The night of her party arrived and I acted scared and compliant while discreetly documenting the chaos that ensued. I even helped her prepare for the party. The party itself was exactly how I would imagine it to be. There were people drinking beers, trashing the place, and I'm sure that at least a few things were broken. The only thing I did was keep people away from my dad and Karen's bedroom. I couldn't care less about Ashley's rules, obviously, and so I locked my room first and then locked myself in the master bedroom so people couldn't enter. But before that, I made sure to take pictures of everything. Ashley being crazy at the party with her friends, all the beer and other random things happening was all saved as proof. Ashley's plan was to wake up early the next morning and make me clean up everything before my dad and Karen came back from their trip. I woke up very early in the morning, around 6 a.m. I walked out and saw that the house was still in disarray and people were passed out everywhere. I mustered up the courage to call my dad and explain everything. He wouldn't believe me at first, but it didn't take long for him to understand that I wasn't joking about this. He was as shocked and outraged as I hoped he would be when he arrived and saw the state of the house. The final cherry on top, of course, was Ashley's little rule book where she had basically declared me her slave. Karen also looked mortified, and it was incredibly satisfying. Finally, after all the trouble the two of them put me through, I had something to really show my dad. My dad wasted no time in dealing with Ashley's behavior. He revoked her shopping privileges, confiscated her phone, and said that she would have to give my room back and move into the smaller room. It was clear that he was not going to tolerate her antics any longer. He also got very angry at her for the rule book and asked her if all the things I said about her being mean to me were true all along. She tried to deny it, but he wouldn't hear a word of it. He told her that she could forget about ever being trusted by him again, and she could say goodbye to her car because he would sell it and put the money in my college fund. Ashley was just furious. She had been all weepy and apologetic, but when my dad said he would take away her car, she just completely lost it. She started screaming about how he was being unfair and called me a scrawny little rat who would never go anywhere. I wasn't even hurt, honestly. I nearly laughed at her little temper tantrum. This was the perfect outcome, and nothing she could do or say could ever take away from the fact that her perfect daughter's act has been ruined forever. But my dad got really mad at Ashley and told her to apologize to me for saying that, and she obviously refused. She stormed out of the room saying she hated me and my dad and couldn't wait to go back to her real dad. I was shocked. I took one look at Karen's face and knew that she was scared that Ashley would actually leave and go to her dad. However, things took a turn for the worse when Karen also got involved. She had been quiet till now and didn't interrupt my dad once except to tell Ashley that she was disappointed in her. But after Ashley stormed off, she defended Ashley and accused my dad of being too harsh on her. She said that there was no need to take away her car and they could just keep her grounded for a few weeks and not turn her whole life upside down. My dad asked me to go to my room and give them some room to talk, so I don't really know what they talked about. But even from my room, I could hear that their argument escalated into a heated exchange with both of them getting pretty loud. At that point, I started feeling guilty about what I did. Maybe I took things too far. I just wanted to teach Ashley a lesson. But now things in the house are just bad and I don't know what to do. My dad did come and talk to me in the evening, though, and told me he was glad that I helped him see the truth and apologized for not believing me earlier. He said that I would always be his first priority and he was just trying to make Ashley comfortable in a new environment, and it was never his intention to make me less important than her. Tonight at dinner, no one was talking and things were just awkward and tense. Karen tried to talk to Ashley, but she again stormed off the room, saying she never should have come to this house. It was never my intention to cause a fight between Karen and my dad, and I couldn't help but feel like I have messed things up for him. AITA for going behind Ashley's back and exposing her real behavior in front of my dad? Update 1. Thanks to everyone who supported me and said that I didn't do anything wrong. Although my dad said the same thing, I couldn't help but feel like he was just trying not to hurt my feelings, and so hearing other people agree with me feels great. A lot of you wanted to know how things are going in the house now. Well, Ashley is still refusing to apologize to me. Actually, she doesn't even acknowledge me and kind of pretends that I'm invisible. I don't care, though. It works for me. My dad warned her that if she tried to bother me at school, there would be more trouble for her, so I'm having a good time in school as well. Also, my dad was serious about everything he said. He only gives Ashley her phone when she goes to school and takes it away the moment she's back. She is not allowed to go out. And yes, I got my room back. It actually feels better than I expected it would. My dad did tell Ashley that she would get her phone privileges back if she apologized to me, but she refused to do that, so, well, not my problem. And about her car, even I thought that my dad was just trying to scare her by saying he would sell it, but turns out he was completely serious. I think he has even found a buyer already. This is the biggest reason for fights in the house currently. Ashley has thrown many tantrums about it, and Karen and Dad also keep fighting about it regularly. I wish Ashley would just apologize, even if she doesn't mean it, just to put an end to all of this. I know my dad, and I know he would forgive her if she apologizes and doesn't do anything similar in the future. But if she wants to be stubborn, there's nothing I can do about it. Karen also has been colder than usual with me. She hasn't really said or done anything directly, but it's like I can just feel her looking at me with absolute hatred whenever I'm around. Even though I don't think I have done something wrong anymore, I'm beginning to almost regret what I did because of how complicated things have become. Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I hope Ashley apologizes and everything just settles down. Update 2. So things did not settle down. It has been 3 days since my last update, and a lot has happened since then. If any of you remember, I had mentioned in my original post that Ashley had said she wished that she never moved into our house. Well, I guess she was serious about that. So the day after I wrote my last update, Ashley and I went to school as usual. Karen was the one who dropped us, and my dad was supposed to pick us up. Karen was not at home, so we couldn't ask her and just decided to go back and check. She wasn't there when we went home either, and Dad started getting actually worried. He called Karen to ask if Ashley had said anything about going out to the mall or something, but she hadn't. Karen said that she would call Ashley's friends and ask if she was with anyone. After around half an hour of calling around, she wasn't with any of them. I was also getting worried at that point and thought that maybe I should tell them about her boyfriend. My intention wasn't to snitch on her, but both my dad and Karen were getting really worried. And I thought that maybe she was with her boyfriend and we had no reason to worry. So I told them, and Karen asked me if I knew who the guy was. I do, because he's a senior in my school. I didn't have his number because I don't actually know him, but I asked around and got it. I called him and asked if Ashley was with him, and he said she wasn't. Karen took the phone from me and asked him if he knew where she was, and he said no. Karen asked him again and begged him to tell the truth because they were getting really worried, and after hesitating a bit, he told them that she had gone to her dad's house. Karen just lost her mind. She started screaming at my dad, saying that he had driven away her little girl and that she had never done anything like this ever before. My dad said that Karen was overreacting and that if Ashley was with her dad, it was fine because she was safe and they had nothing to worry about. Just to be sure of it, Karen called Ashley's dad and asked if Ashley was with him, and he said that she came over after school and had told him that she would be staying there for a while. Karen got really angry and asked to speak to Ashley because she hadn't been picking up any of our calls, and he said that she didn't want to talk to anyone right now. Karen got into a fight over the call, saying that he couldn't just keep her with him like that, and he told him that his daughter could stay wherever she wanted to, and she shouldn't have driven her away if she cared so much about her being there. Karen was furious, and after hanging up the call, she started fighting with my dad again, so Dad sent me to my room again. But I kind of eavesdropped and listened in on their fight. I have never heard Karen be so angry. She was screaming and said that my dad had ruined everything and that now her ex finally had control over their daughter. My dad said that she was overthinking this and they should just go over to his place and talk to Ashley and everything would be fine. Karen seemed to calm down at that, but then she said that if I wasn't such a jealous brat, none of this would have happened in the first place. I was kind of hurt at that, but my dad was absolutely furious. I don't think I have ever heard him be so angry. He told Karen that she was delusional if she thought that all of this was anyone's fault except Ashley's. They fought more. Dad said that he never should have let Ashley get comfortable enough to feel entitled and that she was a bully. At that point, I had enough and went back to my room. All the yelling really got to me. After some time, my dad came to my room and said that he was driving Karen to Ashley's dad's place and gave me some money to order dinner. They ended up leaving in some time, and I was just hoping that when they returned, Ashley would be there with them. They returned in a couple of hours, but Ashley wasn't with them. I asked Dad why she didn't come back, and he said that Ashley had told him and Karen that she would be living with her dad now and didn't want to come back to our house and live with us again. Karen snapped at me and told me all of this was my fault and I should apologize to Ashley. This just led to another fight between her and my dad, and I was sent to my room again. That was 3 days ago, and Ashley hasn't returned. Karen calls her every day, and even my dad apologized to her and asked her to come back, but she still refuses to come back. Karen keeps saying that I must apologize to her because that's the only way she will come back. But my dad has made it clear that I will not do that. I'm really confused and wondering if I should just apologize anyway. I don't care so much in the first place, and if apologizing can fix this mess, then maybe I should do it. I told Dad that I didn't mind, but he insisted that I should not do it. I think I'll just listen to him and not do anything on my own. To be honest, I can't help but feel a little glad that Ashley isn't here anymore. If it wasn't causing so much fighting between Karen and my dad, I would have wished she never came back. I mean, I'm sure she's having a nice time with her dad, and if she isn't, she could just come back whenever she wants to. Update 3. It has been a month since my last update, and I have some big news to share with you guys. So, Ashley is still living with her dad. Thanks to Karen calling her every day, she did agree to come back, but she said that she would do it only if I apologized. She got her room back, and my dad bought her a new car. I should let you guys know that my dad hasn't actually sold Ashley's car. He did find a buyer, but when Ashley ran away, he changed his mind and we still have it. Ashley knows this and still is asking for a new car. My dad absolutely refused to do that and said that she couldn't just make mistakes, throw tantrums, and expect everything to be fine. Karen was just desperate to do whatever it took to get her daughter back and tried to convince my dad, which only led to more arguments. It has been weeks of this back and forth, and a few hours ago my dad came into my room and said that we needed to talk. I actually thought that he would tell me that he was going to agree to Ashley's demands and wanted me to apologize. But he actually told me that he and Karen have decided to separate. He told me that this was for the best and I didn't have to worry about it and that he was fine. I was surprised, but it would be a lie to say I didn't see this coming. I mean, it's hardly possible to stay with someone if you fight so much. So yeah, Karen and Ashley will be gone from my life permanently now. I wonder if I would do things the same way if I knew how bad the situation would get. But it is what it is now, I guess. Stay tuned for more stories from Argo Relationships.